Hi, welcome back to the series on the Skype for Business broadcast series that Jamie Stark and Sean Wilson host on a bi-weekly basis. Hey, we decided to break up our actual regular schedule for some great news and some interesting topics. Hey, so, we talked at our very first session we ever did about how you could do this virtually anywhere with the Skype Meeting Broadcast. And so what we thought we'd bring you a completely different world, which was bringing it to you live, separated by the entire Atlantic Ocean and an entire continent of the United States. So Jamie Stark is actually going to join us from Backstage at Convergence EMEA, where Chris Capicella just did an amazing keynote, and Jamie's going to fill us in on that, some other key cool things that are happening this week, and really this is to start the momentum and launch what we're bringing forward. So Jamie, I'm going to pass the ball over to you.
Hey, great. Thank you so much, Sean. Really appreciate your guys' help in setting this up. Hey, everybody, this is Jamie Stark, and I am actually live from the backstage of Convergence EMEA 2015, where Chris Capicella, about an hour ago or so, got off the stage after delivering the opening keynote. And in his opening keynote, we announced that tomorrow will be the availability of a lot of the services we've been talking about: Cloud PBX, PSTN conferencing, PSTN calling, Skype Meeting Broadcast, which we're using right now, and yeah, so we have been working on this for quite a while, as you can imagine, and I just thought it'd be fun to share a little bit of insights from the backstage. Kind of show you a little bit of what went on to put on the demo, and talk a little bit about some of the things that are coming up next. And so actually one of the things I've got here is a set of just snapshots I took on my phone that I thought would be interesting for folks to check out. So I think we should be sharing the video and content now. And so what this is, let me take over as presenter. One of the handy things about Skype Meeting Broadcast, of course, is that we're just using the Skype client, so I didn't have to learn anything new in order to show this off. And so the first thing that you see here, obviously, the empty room. This is before Chris went up on stage. So Chris had several elements to his demo that he needed to execute through, and some of those elements were on one workstation, some of those elements were separated on a bunch of different ones. The one you see on the far right is a Surface Book. It was very nice to use, and may just end up being my next laptop. Anyway, so on the Surface Book, Chris started off with kind of going through and showing the one-click join experience for Skype meetings. Once he goes in and clicks into a meeting, we had a bunch of folks from the backstage area here also on Skype clients that were ready to go in the meeting. In addition to that, I was dialed into the meeting, and a colleague was dialed into the meeting using PSTN conferencing. So just in one step, Chris got to show how the great one-click join experience works. Chris got to talk through what it meant to have the kind of full, rich Skype meeting experience, and then also introduce PSTN conferencing and the native dial-in capabilities that we're delivering starting tomorrow with Office 365, and just really kind of got to romance how Skype for Business now deeply integrates meeting and voice with Office 365 in just a very, very rich way. And so that was all happening on that Surface Book that you see on the right. The device that you see in the middle there is a Surface 4. He actually used that to talk about Skype Meeting Broadcast. And so we had two parts to the Skype Meeting Broadcast. We had a part where it was showing the attendee experience, and then we had a part that was showing the presenter experience, literally what I'm looking at right now as we're talking through this with you all around the world. And he got to show both. So we were running the producer experience in the backstage, and the way that it actually worked is we took a feed from the house so the kind of main stage production feed from the house, and we fed that into a workstation that then streamed that up to Azure. And so he got to show what that looked like from the backstage, and then he got to show what the attendee experience looked like using the DVR controls and the website that you are all looking at now. And so it was just kind of a really neat way to show like, hey, this is really straightforward to do. It's the same Skype look and feel. It's the same application, and yet now you have this power to go and stream live through Azure Media Services, to thousands of people. And again, this is available tomorrow. From there, we wanted to talk about kind of meeting join across devices. And so you see on the far left, you see an iPhone. So we talked through the iPhone application again with a one-click join into meetings. That joined in with a meeting that was running kind of far off on stage left of a Surface Hub. And so the Surface Hub joined in, was doing some stuff on the meeting that was then shown on the iPhone. And then finally, he closed off this section in talking about that device on the far left, which is a Trio phone from Polycom. Polycom was really generous in lending us a couple of these devices. They're going to be available by the end of the year, and they're just natively designed to work with Office 365 first of all, so it's super easy to use. And then second, the Trio phone has this just phenomenal audio quality. Now, unfortunately, you can see the size of the room here, and we weren't able to really accurately demonstrate how great audio quality is when you have a gigantic cavernous room to go and test this out in. So I'm looking forward to. I've got a couple breakout sessions that are coming up later on this week. I'm looking forward to going into a little bit more detail around the Trio. So that's just kind of a view of the kind of front part of the stage. And I've been talking for a little bit, so I'm gonna flip it back to Sean here and see if he so he can kind of interject a little bit.
Yeah. Hey, Jamie, a couple questions just for the audience that might not have been to Convergence or know what it is. How large is Convergence? Like, how big is that room? Like, we see a bunch of chairs, and yeah, it looks like a bunch of chairs, but really set the stage.
Yeah. Hey, thanks. That's a great question. So Convergence is about attendees around 4,000 or 5,000 individuals. I personally didn't get a chance to see the room, how large it was filled up. It was our opening keynote. The booth beforehand was pretty busy, and the floor was pretty busy. So it felt like there is that many folks here. Although I was busy running around backstage making sure everything was going to go smoothly, so didn't have a chance to see what the room actually looked like filled up. But yeah, it's definitely a good chunk of people.
Hey, Jamie, what's the vibe that's kind of there in EMEA? And we've got a lot of stuff going on. What's the energy like in the room and the people and what's going on?
Oh, this is fun to do as I'm switching back and forth between video for the two of us. Anyway, yeah, the vibe's actually really energetic. It's what's keeping me going. At least everyone here on the team is super excited that we're coming to fruition with these investments. We've been talking about them for a while. We've been planning them for at least 4 times as long as we've been talking about them, and to finally have it be here and really get to show this out to customers and attendees here at Convergence and of course around the world is really exciting. And when I say by team, I refer to the broader team that exists. It's across not just us in our marketing organization, but in sales and especially with our engineering colleagues. If any of them happen to have found this broadcast, I just want to give a quick shout out. They supporting a show in Europe is a lot of fun. First of all, obviously we get to travel and we get to kind of see some sites as well. But it means that all the folks over in Redmond, when we start to, kind of prep and get ready and stuff, even though we're prepping and doing a lot of work in the afternoon, many cases that's still mighty early for those folks. And then they're up late, kind of working through issues and helping us figure things out and helping us troubleshoot, the standard stuff that goes on at any kind of big event. and just helping us kind of work through what's kind of the best thing to go forward with in looking to, ways to present things, or, showing this area of the product versus that area, or chasing stuff down in our tenants that we were using. And so they, were burning the candle at both ends, literally. So these guys were up late, kind of working and collaborating, from Redmond, and then they were up early, very, very early with me, as we were getting ready to go on stage. With Chris, but it was super fun to actually, be on a kind of back channel on Skype with them, as they were watching the keynote unfold live, and it felt like I had this cheering section, back at Redmond, that was every step of the demo they celebrated, and they're like, oh, that co-auth experience was so great, and oh, this is so cool. Now he's in a broadcast. Oh, that looked perfect, and then a part that. A part that I didn't get a chance to kind of talk about yet was a whole video call that we did with the CIO of Accenture, and so I'm showing that. Yeah, I know. So I'm showing that right now. So what you saw in the front of the stage were the systems that Chris was actually touching. In some cases, we had machines in the backstage that we were using. So the middle one in this picture, for example, was the one that's actually driving the Skype Meeting Broadcast. The far one on the left was a video feed that we used to kind of show a side-by-side view of the co-authoring experience, as Chris was doing authoring. So were folks in the backstage, and so we really wanted to show that kind of side-by-side, just to show how quick and easy it is, one, for Chris to go and fire up a co-auth, and then for the folks in the backstage to then go and start and typing against the Word document that we put up there, and it actually got a spontaneous applause from the audience. It was pretty cool. One, just because Chris did a really good job of kind of setting it up and kind of showing the power of it, but it was just so fluid and fast and easy. But that machine on the right actually is you can see, it's a little bit overexposed because my little camera, my cell phone, but that is a nailed up video call that we did with Andrew Wilson, the CIO of Accenture, and hearing Accenture's story is just absolutely amazing. And in fact, Andrew said, and I apologize, I'm paraphrasing here, that Skype for Business is the most important application at Accenture. And it's just, to really hear him tell the story of what it means to his business, to this business globally, about being able to do meetings and work distributively and communicate with both customers and partners using Skype for Business was just phenomenal. And of course, we wanted to do that over Skype, and so that this is a real Skype video call. And actually, Chris kind of touched on this a little bit when he was giving his talk. He's like, look, this isn't faked out. This is all real code. This is all shipping now, and this has all been done using our production Office 365 tenants. This is all done using production Office 365 code, and that's exactly true. So this isn't a call that I set up, using a nailed up VPN that's site to site, with big Cisco routers on every side, monitoring the bit error rate. No, this is over the internet. This is using our tenant, and this is setting it up. So it's So it was absolutely fantastic.
Hey, what were some of the key numbers or stories that really rang true from Andrew?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, one of the first kind of big things that he was talking about is just the kind of use of Skype for Business throughout his organization. So now Skype for Business is kind of the de facto meeting product at Accenture, and so 99% of their meetings are happening with using Skype for Business. Yeah, it's just it's just incredible. There are a lot more kind of talking points and details that he had in his presentation. I would just recommend everybody, if you didn't get a chance to see the keynote, definitely go ahead, check it out. It is absolutely outstanding. There are a couple more pictures that I wanted to share with folks too. Yeah, absolutely. So this one that you'll see here, this is another view of another machine. So what we did is I kind of described how we set up the Skype meeting broadcast. That's the machine or the window that you see on the right. So that's running the producer view. Again, we took the feed in from Chris, and then we also put in his slide deck, and we kind of advanced it at the same time that he was advancing his slide deck live on stage, because we wanted to show some diversity in the view for the end user, to be able to flip back and forth between showing just video and showing video and content, and kind of flipping through some slides. And so while Chris was on stage, we had folks backstage who were flipping through those slides and who were changing around the layouts. So that way, when Chris hit that part of the demo and he was showing what that looked like in the browser experience, you could see like there was a difference in, oh, okay, at this point it was all video, and at this point it was a combination of slides and video. And then the workstation on the left, it shows the meeting that we had up and running, and you can kind of barely see it. There were two users on the right who were live with video and were on Skype clients, and then myself and a colleague on the left in that conversation window, who were dialed in over PSTN conferencing. Again, just using our stock demo tenant. And then finally, this last one here. This is the so because Chris didn't need to interact with the Surface Pro, or I'm sorry, with the Surface 4 that he had on stage that was running the Skype meeting broadcast. Or wait, he did. He was touching it because he flipped it back into showing the DVR controls, but we still had that one remoted into the back. And so this is a review of that remote in the back. So we had the device, he was working with it. And yeah, then we keep control of that device in the back as well, in case anything goes sideways where we needed to set up stuff for him when you get into that point. It's just one of those things, like the execution of these demos. Like it's pretty fun to do, because there's a lot of detail in the way that it comes together, and there's a lot of little piece parts that we put together. But I really hand it to Chris, just kind of moving through all these different elements. And we were one of 3 demos that were in his presentation. So there are a lot of pieces that he kind of talked through as we went through this end to end.
And going back to this, any of the people that have been involved in broadcasting or having to do these big stage events are familiar with the complexity of it. But for those that aren't, that have never been there, and I was this person a year ago, and I walk into Ignite and I'm in the backstage. You're talking a football field of wires and racks and monitors and people. You can just see this is one setup of an area to get this going. And I can just see the wires in the background and the coordination. It makes like Knox seem very, very simple in complexity to what goes on to pull off one of these productions.
Yeah, the production teams here are that we have at Microsoft. I mean, we're really blessed that not only are they just consummate professionals in how they execute these things, but and they bring just a ton of experience. And so a few of these guys I've worked with, all the way back to the 2010 launch, where we had Bill Gates, again live with at the time Link coming in. That obviously was a significant amount of infrastructure and kind of setup and everything else that we did to make that happen. But no, the teams here just really make it easy. But you're absolutely right. The amount of piece parts that bring it all together. It's not just our little demo areas. There's all the slideware. There's the notes for the presenters, timers, and then all the kind of production stuff to broadcast it, to record it, and to make sure that it all kind of mixes down into a really good audience experience as well. So all of those pieces are just tremendous, and it takes a lot to bring these together. But no, it's definitely fun to do, and it's definitely fun to be a part of this, and a very, very small piece of this.
Excellent. Hey, so I thought maybe right about now is probably a good setup to really talk about what's coming next throughout the week. Really, tomorrow's the big day, right, Jamie? We launch. Look for the blog post of everything that's being launched as part of our 12-1 launch across the entire Office 365 stack, including PSTN calling, Skype Meeting Broadcast. All the stuff that's coming tomorrow is going to bring great value and insights to what kind of the future of Microsoft Cloud is going to deliver, really with Skype for Business kind of at the core of what that first stepstone is. A couple things, and then I'm going to pass it actually over to Jamie to kind of close this out. Hey, and he's going to talk more about this, but if you're at Convergence, there's a lot more sessions coming specifically around Skype for Business, a little bit more deep dives. You've had some great 30-minute conversations with us and the team on what's going on. Jamie's going to dive in and really do some live pieces as well. Remember that Yammer community, okay? The Skype for Business Yammer community is really how we engage the community. And make sure that we're getting the hearing your voice, but as well as being able to source the next topics that we really want to talk to. So, Jamie, I'm going to pass it to you to kind of close, and wanted to say thanks to everybody, but go ahead.
Hey, yeah, thanks, Sean, and I wanted to thank you guys as well back at corporate, again, for all the support for the teams that are out here getting this set up. There is a ton still coming out. The Modern Workplace broadcast happens tomorrow. The blog post is tomorrow, both those things Sean mentioned. Definitely don't hesitate to check those out. Those are fantastic, just kind of summaries of all the different works and some different views from some of the executives here at Microsoft. If you'd like a decidedly unexecutive view, it just so happens that the Microsoft Mechanics video that I got to record with Jeremy a couple weeks ago, that has now been posted as well. That's really fun because Jeremy and we got to hang out for a little bit and actually kind of go through and do demos of Cloud PBX, PSTN conferencing, and PSTN calling. So I think if you caught our Cloud PBX session with Sean and I a couple weeks ago, a lot of the same stuff, but obviously with the production values of Microsoft Mechanics, made it pretty fun to do. So that's hit. There's and just of course all the documentation and all the the website updates and all those things are coming live tomorrow. And so there's just a lot more. If you happen to be here at Convergence EMEA 2015, love to be able to meet up with you and talk to you about all the great opportunities that Skype for Business and the new Office 365 capabilities can bring to your business. It really is a tremendous thing to now have meetings kind of at any scale with all sorts of connectivity options and voice, being able to replace your PBX systems, be able to provide kind of a full set of services in addition to using operator services, having meetings and voice be an integral part of Office 365 is just it's a really fantastic place. And again, we've been working at this for a long time. We're super excited to be able to have that. I know it's kind of an overused phrase, but we're really excited to be able to have that come to fruition. So it's been a pleasure talking with you all for the last little bit. I'm going to say signing off for now.
One second before you go, Jamie, you got to give yourself your personal plug for the rest of the week, man.
Okay, my personal plug for the rest of the week. So tomorrow at Convergence at 2:30, I'll be presenting in the Microsoft in the expo floor area. There's a Microsoft theater session. I'll be presenting in theater session number 1. And I'll be presenting what's new in Skype for Business. And so, instead of doing 40 slides, I thought I would just kind of demo and show everybody what's going on. So, so we'll be doing some demonstrations there. I'll be able to repeat that on noon on Tuesday, and then I'm going to join Paco, one of the leaders in our marketing organization, who's going to be delivering kind of Teams and networks based session. That's going to be happening at 3 o'clock on Wednesday. So yeah, there's even though we've been out here for a little while now and setting up a lot for the keynote, this literally is just the beginning. And so there's a lot more goodness to talk about here. For example, like Chris he just had the opportunity to kind of show the Trio phone from Polycom, but didn't get a chance to kind of really dive into it. I want to take a chance to dive into it. I was planning on doing broadcast meetings, but Chris did a pretty fantastic job of covering off our broadcast meetings. But there's a lot more cloud PBX that we can talk about. Since I'm the voice guy, I'm probably going to talk about some cloud PBX stuff. So that's yeah, right. So thank you, Sean.
And Friday, you're flying back Thursday afternoon. Getting back here Thursday afternoon to do what Friday morning?
Well, I don't actually know if the bosses agreed to this, so that's why I didn't bring it up. But apparently, since you did, I thought it'd be a great opportunity on Friday. Friday is the time that we would normally do our bi-weekly Skype for Business video cast. I thought Friday would be a great opportunity for me and the boss BJ to sit down and kind of talk through and of all the different things and all the different events and all the different stuff that's hit this week, and there's already a ton, like just the moment that Chris walked off stage, Twitter was on fire. A bunch of people were tweeting about mechanic stuff. Then there's going to be the blog, the videos, and and the website. So there's just so much. So I don't know how we're going to be able to cover it all, but BJ and I are going to try, and I am going to try to not be completely ridiculously jet lagged at 9 a.m. But at the very least, it'll be entertaining because you'll get to see me after a week on site at a show, working hard to tell the Skype for Business story.
Excellent. Hey, thanks, Jamie. And I think it's probably time to let people get back to their regular day jobs, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, thanks, everybody. We're going to go ahead and sign off now and stop the broadcast. Don't hesitate again, as Sean said, reach out to us on Yammer. We love the interaction. Happy to answer questions and help folks out. And thanks for attending. Take it easy, everybody.